My name is Larry Harvey. If you haven't signed in, I would ask you to come up and do that. My business cards are right here. They have my cell phone number on there. I work for you. You'll probably hear me say that a bunch tonight, but you do pay my salary. And the goal tonight is to explain to you the Better Place Plan renewal, where we've been and where we're going to go. I will not be able to talk about the problem here, or the, not the problem, I shouldn't say that, the store coming in, and I tell you why. And you got an attorney in the room and you got a judge in the room. That's going to go before the Planning Commission. If the Planning Commission approves or denies it, then I sit in a quasi-judicial role. Okay? So if you don't like the verdict, or you do like the verdict, I have to sit there and be able to judge openly and fairly based on the facts of the comprehensive plan. So it's the comprehensive plan that's going to drive the whole thing. Now, there are some extenuating circumstances always to a comprehensive plan, and you'll get through that process. But if you please, if we ask questions about that tonight, then I have to reveal to both sides what took place, and I could possibly have to step down from my seat. So those of you who've been emailing me, you're getting a one-line note from me that says, I appreciate you doing that, but this is the problem I'm in. And I find that uncomfortable. I would love to come out here and do differently, but I'm not available to do that right now. So if we can, let's keep our comments to the Better Place Plan and go from there.
Yes, ma'am. How about that? If people send you an email, can you read your emails?
I can read my emails, but what I have to do is I have to stick them in a folder, and then when the meeting comes, and if you come before our board of county commissioners, I have to print all those emails out and give them to all sides. Okay? So whatever you say is going to become public record. And everybody gets a chance, both sides get a chance to see what's going on and keep my response simple. So.
One other quick question. When it comes before the county commission, either way, the 3 votes carry the day, or do you have to have all 5?
The majority carries the day.
Okay, I need 3 votes.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, there's no super majority required. All right. This meeting will last for about an hour and a half.
One more question on that.
Again?
Yes.
Okay.
The property's been sold.
I'm sorry?
The property has been sold. The property in question has been sold.
Okay.
Has it?
I don't know.
We have heard that there's a
I don't know.
contract. We don't know.
A contract isn't a sale, isn't a completed sale.
All right, this meeting will last for about an hour and a half. Any further questions can be emailed to me. We ask that you keep your questions on this topic only. And I also want to say this, please don't mistake my positive nature as a plus or minus for this plan. If this plan doesn't pass on April 7th, the sun will come up the next day, I'm sure of that. And Putnam County will have to decide what we're going to do in the future. I have my own opinions about the plan, but our attorney has asked us to go out and share the facts. And by presenting the facts to you, then you can make the decision that's right for where you live. And then I'm going to ask you to think about Putnam County as a whole. And you're going to hear people tonight, some in favor, some not in favor of it. We're okay with that. We're all going to share our issues. If you haven't got a handout, I would encourage you to get one. If you need one, raise your hand. Has everybody gotten this handout? Okay, we're going to go, I need to save one for me. Okay? And don't take all. You're welcome. I need one.
Judy, he wants one.
All right. Let's get started. The Better Place Plan was adopted in 2002. It is a penny surtax that is done on every sale that you get except for groceries and items like that. So if you pay a sales tax, You're paying the 6%, and now you're paying an extra penny for the Better Place plan. You've been doing that since 2002. These charts over here show roads that have been resurfaced. These charts over here show dirt to pavement. 83 miles of resurfacing roads and about 80 miles of dirt to pavement. Back then, the county commissioners promised you about 50 miles, but they were able to stretch it out to about 80. We tried new material on roads. That wasn't so successful. So we've had to go back and redo some of the roads. And we're going to still continue to try new things to cut the price down. Paving roads is very, very expensive, as you can imagine. And dirt to pavement's even more. So we've got to stretch your dollars as far as we can. Let me go ahead and say this to you. There's some roads, Ashley Lake, for example, we've worked very hard out there. You're going to see pavement being put down out there in the near future. That is not county money, okay? That is FDOT money. Now, FDOT has two programs called SCRAP, Small County Rural Assistance Program, and they have SCOP, Small County Outreach Program. And then they have a SCRAP program for municipalities. The town of Interlaken recently got right at $800,000 to pave 2 roads because in the governor's budget, they carved out $9 million for the municipalities to be able to enjoy that area, those proceeds. So when I say the SCOP and SCRAP, those are the things that pave Ashley Lake. Those are the things that might pave a road that you go, well, that road got pavement. Holloway Grade. Anybody know where Holloway is across from Q.I. Roberts School? Well, we've been waiting a long time for that one, but it was supposed to have been done a year ago. But with DOT, things change with them, and their funding mechanisms change. So now we don't have enough money to finish up the road from 100 to Tinsley, so we can only go halfway. We could put Better Place money with that, but we didn't do that. We chose not to do that on that road. I have a plan that I'd like to see happen in the future going forward. If we can meet with DOT and discuss this, and I think we can, they have a 5-year plan, a 3-year plan. If we can model our plan with them and realize they have X amount of dollars that they're going to allocate to Putnam County, they really don't care about what roads we put it on. If we could look at that and partner with them, paying 50 cents on the dollar is always better than paying that 100% on the dollar. So again, going forward on April 8th, win or fail, the sun's going to come up, life's going to be good. So let's get right into this. There's 56 counties in Florida that have a surtax. Some are more, some are less, and you pay 1% on every dollar other than food and stuff for the Better Place plan. It brings in about $6 million a year, and the municipalities get 17% of that, okay? So Putnam County ends up with about $4.6 million under our current financial structure. If people bought more, we would see that go up. And if this plan does get renewed, you could see us, instead of having $65 million, we might be in the $70 million bracket. So you can see it's a lot of money. And that's why I believe people are as passionate as they are. And I don't blame them, because $65 million, a lot of money. And, you know, you want to see something get done. There's 2 schools of thought. Some people are going to say, I didn't get what I wanted, I'm not going to vote for it. Some people are going to say, I got what I wanted, I'm not going to vote for it. We understand that. You know, but I asked you at the beginning, let's just have an open conversation tonight and then get up to the 30,000 foot level and see what's good for you. Yes, ma'am.
Does municipality mean an incorporated?
Yes, ma'am.
So Melrose would
Melrose
not get a
would not
piece
get
of that pie?
Right. But we are. And let me tell you something about Melrose right now. We just met Monday. Ken Cornell from Alachua County. Oh, I just lost my mind. Gavin Rawlings from Clay County, Danny Rickett from Bradford County, and myself. We meet out here every month now. And we're going to continue that. We're meeting here Saturday at Chapini's for their grand opening or their 80th anniversary. We're gonna meet out here the last Monday of every month at 9 o'clock in the morning at the community center. If you have things that you're interested in seeing Melrose get, for example, we've been talked to about the road right in front of the fire department. We've been talked to about Park Street going down. If we don't hear about it, it doesn't get done. So, you know, you keep calling. Judy will tell you, she calls every week just about. You did. No, I mean, but there was a problem, and it took us a while to get it, but we got it. And the squeaky wheel does get the grease, and there's no lie. Yes, ma'am?
Can you restate your regular meeting times?
Yeah, it's going to be the last Monday of each month at 9 o'clock in the morning at the community center, the senior center over here, yeah, on 26th, okay? That's kind of unprecedented, if you will, 4 county commissioners trying to work together, but we feel like it's good. We can't work together, 4 of us in Putnam County couldn't do it because of the sunshine law, but we can do it because we're in different areas and that works well for us.
Can the public speak at that meeting?
Yes, public can be at every meeting I'm at. I work for you, remember? Okay, you pay 61 cents of my salary, every man, woman, boy, and girl. Okay? Let me just kind of go down here the list. Putnam County, we, I gotta find it now. It's $81 a year is $83.14 for every man, woman, boy, and girl is what it figures out the Better Place Plan sales tax does to you. Now, you can back out whatever percentage that goes through your mind for people that come through Putnam County and buy something. So that number is actually dropping down. I don't know if there is an actual number to be able to put on that, because when you buy something, they don't ask you if you're a resident here, they just tell you that. So $83.14 per year per man, woman, boy, and girl. Okay, all the residents of Putnam County, that's what the Better Place Plan does. You got 2 handouts tonight, and I just want to kind of go over what that means to you. I tell you what, I'm impressed. These are more people here than there were in Palaca, right, Craig? And 4 of them had 1. Chet would have been there last night, but he had to get to school, so we would have had 2 there. But yeah, this is great, so thank you. Here, you need a handout. Okay, this handout right here shows. Here you go. Okay. This handout shows all the non-road Better Place Plan expenditures. So you can see in 2003, 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, not 9 and 10, 11, and then the reoccurring debt that we currently have. And I'll be glad, like I said, to take all the questions I can on that. This one right here, if you look at this is something that I put together about 4 months ago. It's been kind of floating around the office. It's been very well vetted. This was before the county commissioners decided to put it on the ballot. This was something I wanted us to do. I was in the insurance business in Interlaken for 28 years, had my own agency. I love spreadsheets. I just really like spreadsheets. I did this on Saturday when everybody's out doing something fun. I get up at 4:30 in the morning, so what else am I going to do tonight? So, but what I wanted to do was kind of show how much money we currently had on hand, how much we were going to project to get this fiscal year, and what projects we were committed to, and where we could spend the money in the future. And if you go to page 2, you're going to see some hopeful projects, and you're going to see something on there. Well, this is my last, yeah.
Tell us what it says.
$45,000 for Melrose Florida.
That's what I put here. There's some.
That's the only one we care about. We have that.
That's the hopeful spreadsheet.
Well, I don't have it, I'm sorry. If you'll email me, I can do that, I can send it to you. But Melrose, I wanted to put at least $45,000 in bathrooms. We met out there, and sidewalks, kind of the side and the back. And now we're talking about possibly, since the transportation situation, maybe putting an awning on the back of the bathrooms. So we got a little bus stop out there. So we've had that discussion. So I don't want you to think that there's not something we could do. My goal was to try to put this together so you could see your money in action of what we were doing. And I think there's nothing better than county government being accountable and being out there for you. Like I said, every meeting we have is open to the public.
What is the 45,000 for the Melrose Park?
Bathrooms and sidewalks down both sides and in the back.
So that's the, okay.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted, that's what, we met here 8 months ago, Christmas. Seems like longer than that. But, you know, we did that, and that's what the community was looking for at that time. Since that time, like I said, we're talking about Park Street getting paved, and we're talking about the fire department, the road in the middle of the fire department. Yeah, so we're looking at that. All right, I've talked enough, so now it's your opportunity to ask me. I'm not going to put on the tape, and everybody's heard the tapes, and I'll just take questions from the floor. Let me go back here. She had her hand up.
The one, okay, you're talking about adding a 1 cent sales tax. Does that affect our property taxes?
No, ma'am. And we haven't added it. You currently are doing it now. If the
And when
plan,
did that go through?
I'm sorry?
That's from when?
That's
year?
2002 to 2017. December 31st, 2017, your current one ends.
Okay.
And then if you vote on it on April 7th to extend it, the new one will pick up on January 1 of 2018 and go 15 years out. Get Linda?
I was gonna ask how long the new voting is until 20 what? 20, if we voted for it, how long would it go?
Who's got a calculator?
15 years?
15 years after 2018, so 33? Yeah, 33? Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I have three things.
Nothing hard, Anna?
Have to do with things I saw in the newspaper. One is that the items, the members of the committee have not been receiving the information and making decisions and comments until after it's already gone to the commission. Two is that the change in the plan was done by the county attorney. And three, if this does not pass this month, will there be chances later on and it likely to be brought up again?
Let's get the last question first, yes. I'm sure if it doesn't pass, I'm sure, well, I can't be, I don't want to be too sure, let's just say that. But the next voting time would be 2016. So there's a good chance that someone could try to put it back on the ballot at that point. The second question you asked, did Russ Castleberry, our attorney, change the document? No. He did recommend the wording, and the Board of County Commissioners approved it. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I won't lie to you. I voted against that ordinance. I didn't like it. I was chairman of the Better Place Plan for 2 years. No, we did not have it, we didn't operate the way we should have operated. There were some reasons why. I was also chairman of Better Place for Interlaken for 4 years, and we did. There, when the town council got a project from you, the citizens, they came to the board of Better Place. They asked us to look at it and make recommendations back to them, and we did that. And that's how we accomplished that. I like that better. I really like that better. We have an oversight committee now that pretty much just looks at it and sends it on through. Did it fit the categories that we spent the money on? Yes, and that's what they did. It kind of has no teeth in it. And I'll be honest with you, I'll read exactly what took place. This is your current ordinance right now. What we took out, this committee shall study the projects. The committee shall prepare and present to the board a report on the implementation, process, status, and completion of all such projects, including a summary of financing undertaken, funds expended, and planning, design, right-of-way acquisition, and construction activities as of the reporting date. So we took that out. And I was not in favor of that, but I have been promised that we would look at it. Again, if this comes back up, if it does pass, we can put the language back in there if the citizens want us to do that. And I think we should. I really do. Did I answer all your questions? Did I get to number one? Okay.
Number one is that the committee has not been seeing it before it went to commission, so
Right.
yeah, you know.
And, you know, yeah.
So that it can be changed after if it's passed.
Well,
The language can still be changed.
you know, yeah, everything that we do can be changed. You know, would it be changed? I hope so. I wanted the language left alone, and I wanted to dedicate certain monies to long-term debt. Putnam County is $45 million in debt, okay? We just put $20 million on you for the jail out there for a 40-year loan, okay? With a life expectancy of the jail of maybe 25 to 30 years. Now, that's a bad financial decision, okay? So my point is this, I wanted to dedicate some of the better place planning and an ordinance to pay off our long-term debt. I don't want to leave it on the backs of our kids. And you know, and I know, when you pay off your house, if you pay a little extra, you know, every year, that principal goes down, and we can afford it. But we can't keep affording, and we can't go any further in debt. We really. Now, when I tell you that, there are revenue funds that support some of the debt. For example, the wastewater plant in East Palaca, the water, are supposed to be revenue generating entities that create money to pay off their debt. Whether they do or they don't, is yet to be seen. And so that's, yeah. Okay, yes ma'am.
One of my concerns for Melrose and the roads around here, and I know you have to deal with Florida, DOT, but, we had a recent fatality.
I heard they
And
worked
it
out.
probably is long overdue. I mean, people go racing up and down that street, they cut out into the parking lots, and how can we get a hopeful project that would calm some of that traffic on 26 in particular? It's bad on 21 as well. And they also take cutting off Wynwood and cutting up Grove Street, so you end up with this backsplash of traffic.
Well, you're the bedroom community, and everybody wants to leave Gainesville and come to you. And we've got to find a way to fix that. We really do. But we need to hear your plans. I mean, honestly.
Trees back in the middle of the highway up there.
Big tree.
Big trees, live oaks like there used to be.
Yeah. I mean, there's things we can do. And but again, we won't know it unless we hear from you. Seriously.
Well, how hard is it to get a speed bump?
That would be, we can ask DOT, but I've been asking since I've been appointed and elected about getting the light on West River Road, Buffalo Bluff Road and Boswick, where there has been major fatalities there, and DOT says it doesn't qualify yet for a light. So I don't know. We can ask. We'll ask everything. I don't mind asking. I don't
Because
mind.
both Wynwood and Pine,
I know. Yes,
How
ma'am.
about crosswalks, same thing?
Why not?
I mean, but you say if you know, then you can do something.
Yeah.
So, the way you get to know is by attending the commission meetings, by emailing you,
Right.
writing letters.
Right. Meeting
correct?
with me out
This
here.
is not the entity for that?
Calling my cell phone that's on my card. Yeah, I'd rather have it in email form. And the only reason for that is it's a simple forward this to the right department. But the four of us, like I said, working together, if we all kind of stay together on certain topics, maybe we can see crosswalks. And this is a unique area. It really is. And you're not incorporated. And if you were, maybe things would be different. But the way you are right now, you need our help. And when you want our help, you need our help. Yes, ma'am. Way in the back.
Two common questions, same issue. Is it legal for you to spend this VPP tax funding to pay off mortgages? Is that considered capital?
We can do things along the long-term debt that has a lifespan of over 5 years. We can do things.
That's allowed.
Yes.
My second question is, do you think that would encourage the city to run up more debt, thinking that the VPP could just siphon off to pay those mortgages? Because it seems to me that might happen.
Well, let me just say this. Let me just say this. If you had a revenue stream for the next 15 years and you know it's possibly $70 million and you want the new Jaguar today, I mean, I can answer that question for you. It's pretty simple that we're going to go out. We're not a people that like to wait. We'll justify our expenses up front. But now is the time we have to be controlled. We have to, and we all talk about cutting expenses, and that's the only way we can make our budgets work at home. But we got to start really looking at. I'm not scared about $45 million. I'm scared about not having a plan to attack $45 million. That's what I'm scared about. And then we start. Well, now we need something else, and now we need something else. You know, last week I was in Tallahassee. And Leon County developed a Monopoly game about the size of this table. There were 6 of them, and we got to play Monopoly. Basically, I was like, please don't post that on Facebook. My constituents will see me playing games. But it was really kind of interesting because I want to bring it to Putnam County one day and come around and do it. But it kind of shows how county government works. And you've got X amount of dollars, and that's all you got. And you have to keep some in reserve, and that's all you can do. And then the hurricane comes, and then the sinkhole opens up, and then things happen. And you know what? Out of 6 groups, not one of us raised the millage out of the whole room. Not one of us did. We found other ways. The library, sorry about y'all. You got cut back. You weren't open on Sunday and Monday anymore. That was a bad thing. That was one of the worst things we did. But then you found ways to try to find money without raising taxes. And it was a very good exercise. So, anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
What would it take for you to pay attention from a group of people in Melrose who demand a pedestrian crosswalk across from the park, which is public?
I'd be glad to do that. I would go to Jordan Green and DOT and talk to them about it in a heartbeat.
What would you need, a petition?
Not necessarily. If everybody in this room emailed me about crosswalks and across from the park in Melrose, that's enough ammunition. I could go before our board. We could petition the state of Florida to take a look at it. I couldn't see why we couldn't. As long as we're not building a bridge over it, I think we've got good hopes there. You know. Hang on just a second. Yes, ma'am?
When you say crosswalk, you're about the light, or just take the light on the road?
Well, I'm thinking like a brick area or a highlighted area. You walk across and traffic has to stop like they do in Gainesville. If you don't, or Tallahassee, or if you're standing there and you don't stop, you're in trouble. But you got to enforce it too. You got to enforce it.
It might be in the state of Florida where you have to stop if people are crossing the road.
Well, that's only, you know what? That's only polite. I mean, that's only polite. I mean, I don't mean to be rude, but I have a break. I can stop. Yes, ma'am.
I'm wondering if the BP plan covers trade schools for our youth, because you've mortgaged us into the future. Can you educate our children with electrician, carpentry, plumbing, construction, any of those skills, rather than just service jobs
Or put them in jail?
Yeah, build jails. So is there something we could do to ensure a healthy future, considering our youth who will be taking care of us shortly?
That's scary, isn't it?
Yes.
That's scary.
So would
be
you
in class
address that?
involved,
Is it to be included in the BP that you would maybe produce a trade school? Or, no?
Well, I'm not going to ever say no because, things change. Again, we have to have a lifespan of 5 years into a project. We've gotten some heat on some of the roads that didn't make that recently. Out in Chet's neighborhood, he will tell you that, Chet, raise your hand back there, George's Lake community. We paved the road and we were just 0.7 of a mile short of getting the whole loop done. Well, if you know where George's Lake is, once we do it right the first time, we ain't never going back out there. But we didn't do it right. We started patching. The road's not even 4 months old. It's been patched. It's got potholes in it. Our contractor just kind of left it like that. So the road actually was supposed to have a lifespan of 5 years. We're not even 5 months into this yet. And now we're having to go back to the contractor. And we just got a boring machine so we could start really testing to make sure the contractors are doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's been a fiasco out there. And we need to, I tell you, I'll make a promise to you, I'm never gonna have a town hall meeting on a Friday night. My wife says I used up all my words by Friday at noon, so I can't talk anymore. but I scheduled a town hall meeting at George's Lake. I got there early so I could ride around this new paved area that I fought so hard for. I mean, I wasn't even a commissioner a few weeks, and I was fighting for that road, and only to be so embarrassed by what I saw. And then had to come, and the citizens were very kind, but I can tell you, I was furious. And those roads, when we do work, we need to expect quality work. And we need to demand that these contractors do what we ask them to do. You know, just because people look at us like we're the poorest county, I don't buy into that. I mean, honestly, I do a lot of cooking for a lot of fundraising organizations, and this is the most givingest county that I've ever seen in my life. And we need to expect more from people. Yes, ma'am.
Expecting more from people, but we need to train them so that they can perform quality work. So I'm kind of with the training school thing.
Well, in this
And
case,
I'm not saying that it's part of the plan or not, that's your technical stuff, it's just.
in this case, the contractor thought he was doing me a favor by stretching it out, when in fact, that's the message he left on my phone, and I never returned the call. He bid on it. He bid on it. It was his number to begin with. He could have bid more than that to do it right. And they were digging up lime rock after it was inspected and moving it. It was a total fiasco. So, yes, ma'am.
Is it written into contracts, or will it be written into contracts that that the product be okay, that it be a quality product, and if not, the county then turn around and sue the contractor?
Yeah, and in this case, we're holding 10% of his money for the final. And
It'd be more than that.
yeah, we probably, you're right. But the boring machine's going to help us decide that along the way. But yes, it is written in the contract. Are we able to carry out per word of every contract? No. Could we hire people that could come in there and inspect things for us? Yes. We could always do better in government, and we really can. And my goal is to make sure that that does take place. Yes.
Will we use that contractor again?
I don't sign the contract, so it's, that's not from my decision to make. Okay, is there any, Chet, you had some questions?
Commissioner Harvey, thanks for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Although I don't live in Melrose, I have some generalized questions about the Better Putnam plan that I would have asked last night if I could have been there.
That's fine.
So, I've been reading on the Putnam County website, the major initiatives, goals that were set for 2013 and 2014 and what was actually presented. And I noticed one major one was the Business Commerce Center in Palatka. How much money that has come from the BPP to go into that, but it's still vacant.
Yes, it is.
Do we have any prospects? Because I'm looking for return revenue for the county out of this money that my money is going towards. Do we have many or any prospects on that?
Well, let me clarify something. The business park was built years ago in hopes of bringing, as an incubator to bring businesses in. If you remember, Sites Industries came in and they were a call center, and we kind of gave the farm away to them in hopes that they would be here for a long time. And they did hire 300 people, and that lasted a few years. And then we built, out of your money, you'll see it on your page, $2.4 million in a spec building that's sitting there vacant. We do have a gentleman who wants to build, I really don't want to go into landfill, but we can go there. The gasification plant, where they take garbage and gasify it and make ethanol, basically, some kind of liquid out of it. And he wants to buy a building, and he'd like to buy that building in that park. Would he pay $2.4 million? I don't know. But he would put it back on the tax roll. He would do some nonprofit work in there, build a corporate headquarters. You got to imagine this building is like 3 stories tall. It's a huge building. It's got loading ramps on it, but it's got a dirt floor on the inside. So it's just a shell. It's nothing inside of it. And it was designed to be built as quick as possible in hopes that a marketing firm would go out and market it and bring businesses to Putnam County and jobs, and that didn't happen. Did I do good?
Good on that one. I've noticed also in that same report of major initiatives that in 2009, a gasoline tax was put in place that also funds infrastructure. I'm just curious as to how many different infrastructure taxes we actually have, because ad valorem goes to it, the gas tax, and a big portion of the BBP goes also to infrastructure. Granted, we need it, but how many times do we have to get a penny here, a penny there? So that type of thing.
To answer your question, I don't know all the taxes yet, but I believe there's almost, 17 cents dug into the gas tax, and we do use that for roads. That funds our public works department over there. Not all of it. You've got a 9 cent if you hit there's a lot of different formulas. So when I just throw 17 cent out, it's not really like that. It's not simple math. But public works runs on that, and we do use some money for infrastructure. And the better place, 83% goes to roads, 17% goes to either parks and recreation or infrastructure needs.
Okay, following along those lines. I'm not a reporter, Commissioner, so don't think that.
We got the video going.
But I'm also curious as to why so much of the funds out of the Better Place Plan is also going to not just infrastructure, but the sheriff's office, EMS. I mean, I know they get state money, they get FEMA money, they get ad valorem taxes as well, but there's also quite a chunk coming out. I think my numbers were like 8%, somewhere in that line. We're going to fund, and I can understand certain things, but when it's already funded from so many other areas, why is this Better Place going to an already created agency that is a standard across the state?
Well, let's take EMS for example. EMS is mainly funded by the MSTU, the Multi-Service Taxing Unit, which is different from the Multi-Service Benefit Unit. And I'll explain the two in just a second. But the taxing unit is on top of your ad valorem taxes, okay? So imagine, and you know all the deductions that we currently have in our state of Florida, all of our $25,000 for this and $25,000 for that, and 25, and eventually we've eroded it down where a very small percentage of people are paying ad valorem taxes. So those funds keep dropping. So we have to supplement those departments with other funds. That shouldn't have ever had to been that way. The benefit unit, let me just kind of clearly explain what that is. In my area, District 4, which is this part, but really in the town of Interlaken, I have 5 municipal service benefit units in Interlaken Common, if you will. And those were geographical areas where people said, the county is not taking care of my roads, and we're going to assess ourselves $20 or $30 a year to fix our roads ourselves. And the county now hires a private contractor who does the work, but we collect money. And in front of my house, I have a paving MSBU that I paid $205 a year for 12 years to get pavement in front of my home. It was before the Better Place Plan kicked in. So our citizens ate the whole bill on that. And that's just because we weren't getting services. So right now we have a TU and a VU, and those are the difference of them. Then the TU is not supporting our EMS and some of our other programs like they should be.
My last and final question.
You
I
say that
know
all
I'm
right.
wearing you out there.
This is my last one. I'm looking forward to it. No,
I got 4 more written here, you know.
Go right ahead. Pass it around. Everybody can do it.
I'm curious about the board structure and actually the board's impact. The committee, let me rephrase that. The committee for the BPP What is their actual function going to be now that some of the verbiage has changed? Are they changing the number of members on the board, and what is their actual impact on the commissioners' vote to use these funds?
That's a great question. And honestly, they're not going to change the 15-member committee, but it's just going to be an oversight, a true oversight at that point, where they're just look at it and go, yeah, that fits, let's move it on. We'll make the decisions on our sheet of what's going to take place, and they'll look at it after the fact.
How do I get on that board?
We can,
Because I would like to serve on that board for this area, because I live this close.
I have an opening coming up at the end of the year. Email me that you want to be on that board.
I will do that, sir. Thank you for answering.
But I'd
my
like
question.
to, now again, let me say this. April 8th, win or lose, let me just say this. If it loses, the ordinance stays the same, okay? And I believe we need to empower our Better Place Committee to take up their responsibility and do what they need to be doing. I'll tell you that. And we need to give up the power to allow that to happen. See,
I agree.
the difference between me and other people, y'all don't really scare me a whole lot. Okay? I have a wife and 3 daughters. I need to leave home a lot. No, no, the daughters don't live there anymore. That's why I got no hair here. I love the Lord's name. I don't have a problem with different points of view. I don't have a problem with passionate people. This is $70 million. This isn't chump change. This is important stuff. And even though you might think, well, I'll only pay $50-something or $80 a person, it's still money. It's absolute big money. And the more ideas we have, I mean, how many times do y'all have a great idea in the afternoon, and the next morning you wake up and go, boy, that was the stupidest thing I ever thought of, right? Same thing with us. I mean, just because I sit in that nice leather high back seat doesn't automatically bestow wisdom upon me. I hope it does. I hope I study the issues and pay attention, but I need your input, and we can't do this without you. And I would love for this board to take up their position and do better, and even if it renews, I would fight for it again to be put back in there, and you'll see, I might make the front page of the paper, well, Harvey's up to it again. Well, I don't care about that, because I really believe that the people will do the right thing for themselves. I really believe that. And I think they need to hold us more accountable. I truly believe that. It doesn't just need to be an open checkbook. It really does.
Last quick question.
Well, that was your last quick question.
I reserve the right. Like they were bringing up earlier about different trade programs and such as that coming out of this fund. Are there currently any economic actual development plans besides redoing the waterfront that's actually going to be a countywide addition to our economics? Because right now, you know as well as everybody in this room how our economic situation is now.
Yeah, it's no secret. We need jobs, jobs, and jobs. That's just the bottom line. We need to keep our people here working. In defense of the riverfront, that was the city of Palaca. I think that was probably ridiculous. We're losing our whole riverfront area. The boat ramps look good, but when you go back towards the bridge, we've lost that whole area. And bass tournaments are not going to be there. ESPN cannot bring their big stuff in. So we've got issues with that. The other thing is our economic development guru for Putnam County with the chamber. Our commission basically gives the money to the chamber. He's leaving. He's going to Maryland. So there might be some opportunities there. Do we have an actual plan for economic development? No. I'll be very honest with you, we don't. We don't have an actual plan for the next 15 years once this passes. And I think that's where we need to be real at and come back and say, okay, what's our end game? You know, I was talking, Craig was there Monday night, and there was a gentleman there, and I won't mention his name because he's not here, but he said to me afterward, he said, anybody remember Jake Godbold up in Jacksonville? What was the thing he coined? The bold new city of the South, right? He really did what he said he was going to do, didn't he? He made Jacksonville the bold new city of the South. Putnam County, we don't have that end game yet. We don't have that. Are we the hub of North Florida? Are we the tourist attraction? Are we the environmental center? I don't know what we're gonna name ourselves, but we need to start looking at who we are and moving in that direction. And the Better Place plan, if it passes, we need to start attacking that plan with that money. It's just that simple. If we're gonna be something, we can't just be a veteran community in Melrose and a Fern area in Crescent City. We gotta bring everybody together. Putnam County is probably, like I told somebody today, it's almost like 4 counties in one. You know, when you start heading from here down to Georgetown, how many of y'all ever been to Georgetown? How many ever run for office in this county? You find that out quick how far. You leave here one morning and you end up there at night. I mean, it's a long way, and it's so diverse. But we have that ability to work together, but it is diverse, and we need to come together and build a plan. And Chet, we don't have that right now, and I'll be very honest with you, we don't. I've been thinking recently, maybe we need, I hate to say a blue ribbon committee because it sounds kind of cliche, but we need to have people, you know, that question, where are you going with this thing? What are you going to do with this thing? Okay? And that's what I think we need to do. Yes, ma'am.
2 comments, actually the same comment. I've heard you say, and it's true nationally, that we tend to think as politicians and bankers, fiscal year to fiscal year, and that's the problem. Yet, they want to mortgage us into the future, 40 years, with something that isn't going to last that long. So the conundrum here is, they need to be educated. And most people put long-term plans in place, definitely determined by the fiscal year to fiscal year, but we need that long-term plan you're talking about. I have another. On page 1 of your 2-page report, down at the bottom, BPP debt obligations, is that those mortgages you're talking about? The 2-page plan.
Oh, okay. Debt obligations right now?
Yeah. Is that the mortgage?
No.
Okay.
I'll tell you what it is. Years ago, when they passed the Better Place Plan in 2002, the Board of County Commissioners went out and borrowed $10 million, and they borrowed $3.5 million. They decided at that time that it was better to go ahead and borrow the money and start getting projects out and paving and doing things that show people they were. The problem with that is there's always, when you mortgage the house, you got a house payment to make. And this is going to, the debt obligations on that package, 1.8 million, no, it's
1.578.
Okay, that will settle out in December 31st of 2017. The Better Place money has to zero out. Now, let me clarify something. There are 2 revenue bonds, A and B, okay, for the East Palaca water plant, that have revenue bonds. We commit $275,000. You see the $500,000 on that mark. 2 of them, $275,000. We commit that at a Better Place money. Now, that's not the only money we put with that, okay, to pay off that debt, but we have committed $275,000 for both A and B, $500,000 total. If the Better Place plan fails in December 31st, 2017, that $500,000 dries up. But you're still obligated. The $500,000 now comes out of general fund to attack that debt, because we signed revenue bonds with hopes of getting, and the idea was to get that process, that to be a money maker, a revenue stream to pay the debt itself. Again, you know, right now, if you was to hook up, that sounds graduate from Palaca High. If you were to hook up right now at the wastewater plant in East Palaca, if you'd have done it a year ago, there'd been no charge, 0. That's a pretty good deal. Not everybody did it a year ago. And now, there's about 12 people, and we're out of funds. That's going to cost them about $8,000. To bust open their septic tank, put in a pump. Now, let me ask you this. How many of y'all could afford me to come to you and say, it's going to cost you $8,000? End of story. And the problem with that, we have to pass an ordinance that says everybody's got to get on it. Now, my problem recently, and Craig was there, we borrowed $1.4 million to wrap up this loan. why didn't we borrow 1.5 and put everybody on the system like we should have done? I have no idea, but I'm asking that question over and over. You know, I'm not one to spend a lot of money, but what's the difference between 1.4 and 1.5 when you're looking at getting everybody in? It's a whole lot easier to do that. So, yes, ma'am, you have one more?
And so that figure, debt obligations that won't be paid off after we vote again?
That's
It's
2007.
approximately 20%, a little bit short of 20% of this budget. 20% went to pay.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's why I said, that's why I fought for my seat. If we could attack long-term debt, because we did it in this plan, why can't we attack the long-term debt that we've incurred? But they didn't want to listen to it at that point.
It's
And
kind of a can of worms.
I'm sorry.
It's a bit of a can of worms because that would almost say, well, we wiped that one out, let's run it up again.
I would like
That
for
seems to
us,
be the thinking.
I would like for us to cap our long-term debt by ordinance that will never go over 1 year of ad valorem taxes or something in that nature. Never, now we needed a jail, don't get me wrong, and we needed the things that we need, but we always need things. But jail, $20 million for 40 years at 3.5% interest rate, ugh, that's a really hard one for me. I mean, it really is. And not that I don't think we need a jail, we do, but I don't need my grandkids to pay for the jail. I don't.
Is that the jail that we see being in process as we go across the bridge to East Gillette?
No, ma'am,
What is
that's
that?
the school board office that they just built. They bought that from the bank, and that, the one on the left-hand side across from Angels?
On the same side as them,
No, that's the,
down towards the
that's
waterfront?
the,
That's 100 block.
101. Now, I'm gonna say this right, that's the mitigation for Georgia Pacific. Okay? It's a Georgia Pacific Environmental Center.
You can't see the jail from the highway.
Yeah, you can't see the jail. The jail's way out on 19 and 7.
Well,
Way out
I
there.
know where that is, but didn't we used to have a facility down there?
That was the old
Many,
jail.
many years ago, at the end of St. John's Avenue, yeah, they called it what, the Waterfront Hotel or
Yeah.
something like that. I had a friend there, and we grew up in Francis. Marshall White would go in there, and he was a trustee, and Walt would let him go across the street and have a beer and come back and cook, so it was a pretty good deal for Marshall. Marshall was always in trouble, though. He was just one of those kind of guys. All right, he's dead and gone now. Any other questions? Craig, you're awfully quiet tonight.
Well, I was wondering if, since this is like a whole new crowd,
It's a very good crowd, isn't it?
could I have just a couple minutes to make some comments?
Craig, it's open to the public, like I said.
Well,
We're not gonna stifle anybody's, go ahead.
I'm kind of surprised that I'm coming to a meeting and I hardly see anybody here I know. I'm Craig Sherrard. Judge Christensen knows me as the dapper, eloquent attorney that appears in front of her occasionally.
Would
Some
you
of
use
you-
that term, though? Really, would you use that?
I'll take that advice.
With my right hand.
Yeah, Craig, the audience has asked if you come up here, maybe you could speak from, so they could hear you better.
Some of the others of you may know about my business. I'm the rodent rancher at the end of Calvin Lake Road and 28. And I'm going to make some comments, and these don't have anything to do with him, because frankly, if he was running the Better Place plan, me and the wackadoodles out there running around telling everybody to vote no, probably wouldn't be saying voting no. But, and we agree with a lot of things that he's saying. Government is a whole thing. When you look at government, you look at it like a diabetes patient. You don't go, oh, we got to cut off the toe and we're going to fix the amputated toe. No, because you've got an amputated toe because you've got diabetes. And if you go to the other meetings that the other people are putting on, and not going to several of Larry's, but she's not doing that, he tends to look at more of the broader picture, and everybody else is going, no, we don't want to talk about all this debt. We don't want to talk about property taxes. We're talking about the toe. That's what we're talking about. And just to give you all a few ideas about Putnam County, in 2006, we had a $73 million budget. In 2013, we had a $110 million budget with $44 million in debt. we've got the highest property taxes allowed by law, the highest trash fees allowed, the highest sales tax, the highest gas tax, MSBU's, MSTU's. Infrastructure is basic to a society. The Romans conquered the world building roads that people still use to this day, 2,500 years later. In Putnam County, the reason we had to do a Better Place plan 12 years ago is because we spend no money on roads. We spend no money on infrastructure. When they do the budget, the first thing they should be spending it on is the infrastructure, and then you use your Better Place money, and if you look at other places that have the 1% sales tax, you use it for the add-ons. You use it to make schools. You use it to improve your boat docks. You use it to improve the only inland port really in the state of Florida, which is the barge port. But we didn't do that, and we spent our money. I mean, there were things that we spent it on, and I'm not going to sit here and go through these roads. I've gone through them ad nauseum. If anybody wants to come up afterwards, I'll go through the roads to nowhere, the dead-end roads off of dead-end roads. These were supposed to be scored. They were never scored. There is no score. And one of the things that those of us that are saying vote no is, and you got to go to the commission meetings, because this was really basically what happened. And Larry's being nice to his fellow commissioners, but the meeting was basically where this all got approved. This last time was, Carl Flagg said, and it's on tape, I don't care, Carl, you said it, we, the commissioners, are going to decide what we're going to do with the money. You elected us to do this, and we're going to do it, and we don't want to hear anything from you guys. And Larry's up there going, well, now, wait a minute, why don't we do this? The reason why these plans work in most municipalities, it doesn't work in Black, and I'll explain why in a minute, is because I'm the town attorney for Pomona Park. We do what they did in Interlochen. There's an advisory committee. The people say what it is they want, and the commission votes on what the people are looking to do, and we only put it into things which are going to be useful. And down there, we basically built a community center, and we paved a couple of roads. That's what Interlochen did. One of you said something about paying off debt with the money. Palatka has to have Better Place pass, because most of this Better Place money goes to pay off a loan on the golf course and a loan on the airport. They have borrowed themselves into debt. And when Larry talks about the garage, about the jail, yes, I agree, we need a jail. I don't agree with the way they did it. At that rate of loan, you're going to pay for that jail 300%. There is $8 million of cash sitting in the Better Place money. We owe $8 million on those $12 million in loans that he talks about. We earn 0.5% on that $8 million sitting in the bank, but we're paying the bank 4%. And if this doesn't get approved, they've got to get rid of $8 million in projects in 2 years. Now, they tell you that they need to extend this, but the thing is this: if you're going to build a road, you build a road and it's done, and you should do it right. But I swear, something is going on. There's no reason. $8 million is 2 years worth of revenue. Why are we sitting on $8 million worth of revenue? If you know, I wish somebody could tell me.
I just have an opinion.
Again.
I just have an opinion. And a virtual question. And apparently you're well versed in this more than I am. I've only had 2 days to look at this thing since I first heard about these meetings.
Yeah, but I liked your questions a lot better than mine.
My question is this, and it's all, that's why I had so many questions concerning the advisory board. Where's the accountability for where these funds are actually going? Now, that was my question, Commissioner Harvey, basically about, you're taking the verbiage out about the advisory board's passions, whatever you want to call it. So you're going to leave it to certain individuals running a commission, mainly our commissioner board, and just because we want it, we're not going to listen to our board. My personal belief is accountability of these funds is the issue with why I have a problem with what it is. That's just my opinion.
And let me answer that. It's up to you. You've heard all the stories tonight, you've heard both sides, and Craig's probably gonna mention a few more, and then I'm gonna close with reading something, but it's up to you to tell us what you like. If you want the advisory board to have the teeth back in it, let us know. I'm one person out of 5. I fought as hard as I could, and I couldn't get it back in. But I'm willing to take the bullet again. I really believe that strongly about it. But I need your help. I need you to contact, not me, don't be calling me because you've already got me. Call the other commissioners and say, I want that language put back in. Or come down there to us on April 8th, let's just hypothetically say it passes. Come down there and start demanding. It's your money. We work for you. I mean, it's that simple. It's not the other way around. It shouldn't be. You should never think that we're the ones that are going to sit there and make all the decisions. We should never have that kind of power. Ever, ever, ever. 74,000 people in Putnam County pay my salary. We need to be listened to. Craig, I'll let you have a few more minutes.
Okay, and this would be my plan in a perfect world. If we defeat this, go in front of the commission. I'll go in front of the commission. I go down there all the time. Well, not all the time, but I'll go down there and I'll say, because they're going to dump on him. They're going to say, oh, you're going to cause the ruin of Putnam County. No, I'm going to say this. You know what? You need to listen to this guy. We've got 2 years to get this thing on track. They're doing the same thing in St. Augustine. And I get the St. Augustine paper, and if you read what they're going through a whole big process. They're getting commissions, they're going out and they're doing visiting sessions, they're doing this, they're doing all these things to get the right feedback. And we aren't doing this. Now, they can say, well, we did this before, but you're selling this program again. This thing dies. If we do nothing, it dies. They've got to resell this program. And I'm going to go up there and tell them, you've got to start listening to this man here. You put the things in there that the people voted no because of, and maybe next time you'll get some support, because if they do what he wants to do, I'll vote for it, and I know a lot of people that are against it right now that would vote for it too. Just to wrap it up a little bit, what Larry was talking about, the water system. This is the flim-flam on the water system, and this is what, you can't do anything about this. There's 2 water systems in East Black. There's a wastewater system and a freshwater system. The freshwater system, they guarantee $250,000 a year from Better Place Plan. They put $500,000 into it. The reason they do that is most water systems and wastewater systems around the state are self-sufficient. The people that are getting the service pay for the cost of getting the service. The water system in East Palatka can't pay for itself. That other $250,000 a year that goes into the freshwater system out there is because before he got up there, the commissioners didn't want to take the heat to raise the service fees. So yes, what we're paying might be a very small portion, but you got to remember they don't spend small portions. And I give a little bit, we give a lot. They can't function without us. And fresh water, I should be paying for that. If I'm using it, I should be paying for it. So, I won't take up any more time. Like I said, if anybody wants to go through, I've gone through these roads. Take a look at them. My favorite is Decoy Road, which is go up 17 to Boswick, make a right at Boswick, cross the railroad tracks, make a left, and find the people. Just like this. Carriage Road, 3.1 tenth of a mile, 1/10 of a mile roads, dead-end roads up a dead-end road. How do we use that?
When those people squeaking through against the grease, did they not ask for that? Or did somebody in the commission
Nobody
say,
knows.
Let me,
be noisy?
I don't mind giving for the other side if somebody wants to say, my job was to come in here and share the facts, and that's what I did. Decoy Road, let me say, Craig, I did find people that lived out there one day when I was campaigning. I knocked on this door on the river, and I was starving to death, and this gorgeous lady opened it was stunningly gorgeous, opened the door, but the smell, she was cooking some Italian food, and I just thought, boy, if I could just be invited in for dinner. You know how you're just starving out there on the campaign trail. And, oh, Lord, so I did find a few houses. let me say this, my card's up here. If you haven't gotten your card, email me, keep them on file. I'd like to hear from you. I want to read to you, this is a special referendum. If approved, Putnam County will build roads, sidewalks, parks, improve drainage, resurface roads, improve land for public use, modernize libraries, build wastewater systems, promote economic development, build or expand government buildings and community centers, improve law enforcement, fire protection, public transportation systems, improve waterfront assets and accessibility, implement other public projects authorized by law. State law limits the use of these revenues, which will be placed in a separate fund. Shall the 1 cent sales tax be continued in Putnam County for an additional 15 years commencing January 1, 2018 to fund infrastructure projects. That's the verbiage on the ballot, and I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. And if you have anything you need to talk to me about, I'll be here for a few minutes. But thank you for being so kind and patient. Again, I like the town hall meetings where we can share ideas. We're not all going to agree, and we're not all going to agree that everything was done right or done wrong, you know, but we all can agree to go forward from here and see what's best for Putnam County. You might decide it's not worthy of my vote. I understand that. And if it's not, do what Craig said, come down, make us be accountable. If it does pass, again, come down, make us be accountable. We work for you, and I can't emphasize that enough. It's heartbreaking when I sit up there and I see a handful of people there in a county of 74,000. Now I realize that we're at 9 o'clock in the morning. Not everybody can get there. Some people are working. I get that. But if you can, at least you can email me your points of view. So yes ma'am, Linda, sorry.
I had a question because I was trying to find out the names of the people on the planning and zoning board,
Yes, ma'am.
and I could not get that information from the county. Is that like,
Nothing's not public. Everything's public.
how do you get it? I asked.
You go and ask them,
I
they
asked
have to
Mr.
provide that
Burns
information.
Cato, and he would not give me the names and the emails of these planning and zoning board people. Are they on the website? I couldn't find them.
I asked him also, and he said that he doesn't give out the names of the people on the commission are not given out, is what he told me.
On the planning and
Yeah.
zoning board. I
Who
mean,
said
how
this?
can we,
Mr.
you know,
Burns
tell
Cato.
them
The
our
county
opinion
planner.
if we don't have a way to connect with them? I mean,
No.
open government, where did it go?
Yeah, I don't, I'm sure they don't want to be
Frustrating.
contacted individually based on that, but you're going to have your day that you can stand before the planning commission and voice all your concerns to them about
I just feel
projects.
like they should read it ahead of time. You know, if they're late running into their zoning board meeting and they haven't read all those.
I would
emails.
imagine, Craig, correct me if I'm wrong, and Judge, if you put something down in writing to be given out to the board, they would almost have to do that.
It will be given out, but before the meeting.
That's what I'm saying, they would have, because I was on the zoning board of adjustments for years, and we always got correspondence
You get
ahead
it
of
a
time.
day or two ahead of time?
We got ours a lot further ahead of time.
If there's an issue that's coming up for a zoning board, and they meet once a month, you can go down there and watch. I mean, I get the zoning and the planning board's confused at who's on it. But you can go down there and watch the proceedings, and I take it you guys have got some big issue coming up. I would suggest you go down there and watch.
I don't want to watch, I want to tell them.
No, but go watch what the procedure is, and how things are done. That way you will know how to prepare yourself when your thing comes up. But what they do is
But
about
they
two
meet
or,
once a month, right, you said?
they meet once a month.
Call
Once a
Jackie.
month? We're going
If you
this-
go on the county
we're going
website,
next
Yes.
week.
go on the county website,
we-
www.putnam-fl.com, and go to the calendar page, and you'll see where the planning commission is going to meet.
I know where they're going to meet, I'm just saying.
Yes.
Is that what they're going to
We
meet
don't
about?
have a month ahead of time.
That's when the issue's gonna come up on April 8th.
Then I would suggest this, put your comments down in writing, send them to Mr. Burns Cato, ask him to pass them out at least a week ahead of time to the planning commission members. I would ask that.
We got an email back from him that said he had closed off any emails on the 24th.
Yeah, he'd already
He was not
submitted
taking any
his.
more comments after the 24th.
Send them to me and I'll walk them over. Am I allowed to do that? I guess.
No, they do that, they do that. I've got a bunch of their emails and stuff, but
I can't imagine why I couldn't walk them over there, could I? I mean,
You'll find out. As soon as you try to walk them over there and you're
I tell you what,
barricaded, you'll
why don't
find
y'all
out.
do this? Give them to one person, bring it in an envelope to me sealed, I'll walk it over, I'll take the envelope over. How's that sound? Okay, is that better?
Well, I've been sending my comments to Mr.
Right.
Branscale, and I sent it early, so I know it'll get in, but I know there's people who sent them after the 24th and want their voice heard before the meeting, you know. We didn't know it would be cut off. Because he said, I'm getting the package
when he
ready, and
gets-
that's it.
Why do you
Because
know?
it's at the very end of his
Check it.
report, at the very end of his report, what was there, 7 opposition?
I think maybe 9 letters.
Nine, maybe.
Well, let me, hang on a second, I'll answer that in just a second.
The issue is because, like, a lot of times, the community doesn't find out about these things with enough advance notice, so it's really happening. And if they're having a meeting to make a decision about our communities, they should have access to hear all those people who are working, incapacitated, novated, whatever, they're still impacted, need to know that they need to have set up something that, okay, this is your opinion, do you want it, do you don't, please tell us in a short, something so we can contact them, because we can't all show up at the meetings. And that's not even, you know, if they're not being open enough for us to even do that, they're more or less say, well, we're in control, we don't really care. You know, it's kind of like this real power ego trip down there, and the rest aren't too happy
Well,
with that.
I don't want you to
You
go.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't want you to think about that right now.
Yeah.
No one's on an ego trip on that planning commission, I can guarantee you that. That is not something you ever, if somebody ever asks you to serve on it, run the other way as fast as you can. I mean, it's not one of those jobs you just really go, I can't wait to be on, like Chet wants to be on a better place, yeah, but no one ever wants, you have to almost force people to do that. In defense of that process, though, I need to explain that there is a land development code that we go by. And it's pretty much going, your opinion about what should or should not take place, does it fit the land development code? Now,
Who made that up?
then there might be some extenuating, I don't want to get too far in the weeds here, so I gotta be real careful. There might be something that you bring out that goes, okay, maybe there's a little caveat there. But pretty much, it's gonna fit. If it fits the criteria, it fits the criteria. Or if it doesn't fit the criteria, it doesn't fit the criteria. And that's how, and if you wanted something different and you want something different, you've got to put that in the land development code. It's got to be there. You can't just go now, well, I don't want that house down there painted orange and blue because I'm a Seminole fan.
No, much in advance of land decisions made, 5 years, 10 years?
well, you know, after the meeting,
Yeah,
talk to me, because I go down there
Okay.
a lot.
all right. Well, thank you all again for being very kind. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.